It's all about you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry,
Wait, what's up?
I had the Twitch browser open, but I was hearing all of it, so I can't have both of those going at the same time. Anyway.
Okay.
So I exited already, but I feel like our chat is visible on Twitch right now, so
nice. So fill it up with interesting stuff.
Yeah, don't shit talk while we're just kidding.
Oh, whatever. It's more entertaining that way, I guess.
I probably would. I'd be like, look at this bitch trash talking us on a
How dare you?
That phone conversation. What was happening there?
That's why we have text messages.
Yay. Okay. Wow, that's an interesting fact, Sage. Thank you. Okay, all right. Are we ready to do this? Are we ready to start recording?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 9 of the Venture Maidens cast. I am your dungeon master, Celeste Konowich.
Hey guys, again.
I'm Brittany. I'm playing Arnadel, the elven warlock. Sorry, I'm telling the dog. I'm trying to direct silently. Yeah.
And I'm Nassim. I'm playing the human monk Saya Noor.
And I'm Sage, and I will be your dwarven barbarian by the name of Cara Brynhilda.
Well, hey everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on our first live stream with Don't Split the Podcast Network. We're super stoked about being a part of this new network.
Oh, yeah.
It means a lot of good things are coming for the Venture Maidens cast, and we're just really, really excited. But let's go ahead and jump right back into where we were, since we're getting started a little bit late on the stream. Oh, actually, let's cheers.
Yes,
Everybody cheers.
Yeah, cheers to being on Don't Split the Podcast Network. We are fucking stoked about this.
Don't split the podcast.
Yeah.
Let's also add, you guys should totally check out the other podcasts on their network. I was listening to them all day at work, and it was awesome.
Yeah, super great stuff. A bunch of really awesome, really talented people. We're so stoked.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. But it's been a while, so let's get back into, so now we're at episode 9. So if you're ready, we're going to go ahead and recap what happened last time on Venture Maidens.
Well, we had just vanquished our foe,
Madame Fortuna.
Madame Fortuna.
And her band of troops. That's redundant.
Her band of merry men who were not so
Her
merry.
troop of troops.
I stole that bitch's frog wand.
Yes.
I got super stealthy and shit. That was pretty good.
Muy excelente.
Do you remember what that item was?
It's the wand of polymorph.
There you go. But yes, it did have a frog on it.
Yeah.
That was the thing that was transforming the girls into birds.
Yeah, so basically you had finished the battle, and at the end of it, your old buddy Martin had been there helping you to fend off the Yuan-Ti attacker and also the Dryad. And it had been revealed over the course of the battle that Fortuna had somehow been controlling these individuals with the iron collars that she put around their neck. So when you came to the end of the battle, they were all freed. The Yuan-Ti and Dryad thanked you, and then took the body of Corin away with them off into the mysterious forests. And you were left standing there with a very, very dead Madame Fortuna and the body of a young girl in a white dress on the ground.
I go
Right.
to the dead girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, do we recognize
so-
her?
Is she dead?
Yeah, well, she had fallen in the place where the owl had initially been. And as Fortuna had died and you had heard the unclasping of the collars, you'd heard another crack of sound, and this bird had transformed into the young girl now before you. It was very much dead. You can see parts of her face have been smashed in, and she seems to have scorch marks on her body as if she was hit by some kind of spell.
Oh, well, yeah, because Fortuna was a total bitch face and used all sorts of nasty magic to hurt people. I'm still feeling the effects of that cone of frost. I think I've got like 3 HP.
Oh god.
Super.
That's right, you poor thing.
Yeah, and the attack of those
other bird creatures.
Right.
Let's see if they all turn into ladies.
Yeah. So as you walk over,
go ahead. Sorry.
So as you walk over to the main cart that was holding the rest of the birds, you begin to hear a rattling sound and crying coming from out of the cage, as if 2 very, very distressed female voices. And as you kind of run around, you see the familiar face of Ronnie sitting in the cart, accompanied by another girl with brown hair. And they're just screaming and crying and looking around wildly, covered in bird shit and leaves and barely fitting into this cage apparatus that now you see a myriad of exotic birds are sitting on top of the cage after the owl had used her final act to free them. And many of the birds are drenched in blood, preening right now as they had a little Fortuna snack that helped to turn that battle. And as you get close, Kara, Ronnie looks at you and is like, "Oh my god!" Just throws herself out of the carriage and on top of you.
Aww. It's okay, Ronnie. I got you.
You won't understand. I didn't want to go with them, but then I said I would, and I don't know. I just want to go home.
It's okay. That bitch turned me into a red robin. Can you believe it?
I was a cockatoo.
I'm embarrassed for you, but don't worry. You're not a bird anymore.
Oh my god, thank you. And I guess and the other girl right now at this point is just backing up against the edge of the cart. She can't even speak to you, or she's just staring at you with this wide-eyed gaze.
I very compassionately hold out my hand to assist her out.
Yeah. She backs away from you, as if she's completely scared. And a bunch of the other birds on top of the caravan start going, "Quah, quah!"
Oh,
You see a very angry-looking toucan that kind of pushes their face down over the edge of it, scrutinizing you. And while this is going on, you hear another familiar voice kind of go, "Ow." And then Martin crawls around the edge of the caravan.
I run over to him.
Yeah, he looks up and he's like, "Just in the nick of time, huh? We really can't keep meeting each other like this."
And I
you can see,
go ahead.
He's definitely been hit a couple times. Oh yes, shake out your head.
I know, I've got like
That's
the ponytail crease, so I don't know how cute that's gonna be, but whatever.
Hey, people who aren't watching this on the live stream, Brittany just shook out her hair.
It was very seductive.
Yeah, and not at all. Not at all.
We are entranced.
It's very greasy. Yeah, I run over to Martin, and I'm like, I don't know what to say. I just kind of give him my water skin, and I'm just like, "Here."
Thanks. That's great. Yeah. Do you have any? I don't know, a healer's kit or something that would really come in handy right about now.
I look over at
bandages.
I look over for okay. At that point, I rip my robe like with my teeth, almost animalistically, and like hand him the scrap of cloth. And then
he watches you as you do this. Thank you.
I'll help him.
He takes the little scrap of cloth and is like, "I suppose there we go," and just sticks it on his side like a band-aid. So the blood sticks in and it kind of sticks to him. He's like, "Oh, thank you."
I'll help him. I shake out of my like super awkward phase and I'm like, "Oh, okay," and I start helping him. I like pour water on the bandage and kind of start soaking up the dried blood and like cleaning it.
Is there actually a heal skill in 5th ed?
Medicine.
Yeah.
Medicine. Make a medicine check if you're going to be
help
doing that
him.
to see if you help instead of harm.
Dress his wounds. I sure hope I roll better for this. Oh my goodness. Let's see. That's going to be a 12.
Okay. Yeah, so, you're not, like, totally experienced with this, but you managed to, like, help him out and kind of clean out the wound and get the worst of it and pull the bad cloth away from everything. So he looks a little bit better, though at this point he's still leaning up, like, sitting against the side of the wagon, just kind of watching you do this. And then by this point, Kara and Saya, you've managed to get the cowering girl to kind of scoot forward and get out of the cage. But she still isn't really speaking to either of you. You think she might have been in this situation maybe a little bit longer than Ronnie, or is just not handling it well, or is in some kind of shock.
Yeah, can I make a handle animal check?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, bird brain. Fine.
You were a cardinal after all.
Exactly.
You speak the language.
What was that again? Cheap.
Oh, 19.
Cheap. 19. Yeah, so you figure out, actually, when you do start to approach her as if she were a bird, she begins to react a lot better to you, so you move in slow kind of movements and, don't make threatening eye contact, and so she seems to gravitate towards you and then stands uncomfortably close and just sort of follows you around as you move about. She still hasn't spoken, but she's and Ronnie at this point, you've given her, she sat down and kind of started cleaning herself off, and every couple minutes she breaks into bouts of tears, and then she's just so grateful.
Is she wearing clothes? Does she have clothes?
No, they're not wearing clothes.
Oh, I want to give them an extra set of clothes in my bag or something.
Yeah, I think you guys all have extra traveler's clothes. Yeah, so they clean up and kind of Ronnie's like, when are we gonna go home? I just want to go home. I just want to go home. This has been so terrible.
We'll go home soon. Relax. You're sitting now. She's gone.
Okay. Thank you. And when Martin kind of gets a hold of himself, he's like, all right, well, I suppose we should get these girls back to town. It's like a day's journey from here? 2 days? I'm not exactly sure where we are, honestly.
I think it was about a day.
Yeah, it was tough. I think we could probably find our way back, considering that I look over at the body of the girl, like, well, she showed us how to get here. Maybe we should, guys, we should take her back. She helped us a lot. I think she deserves a proper burial.
Do you know who she is?
Should I roll?
I mean, I don't know. What would you roll in that situation?
History? I don't know. Maybe she's a princess of some lost kingdom. I don't know.
Roll a knowledge history.
Barrier here.
Damn. Let's see. Ooh, I got a 16.
You don't recognize her face immediately as any kind of higher grade noble. You don't recognize her from books or anything. She looks pretty young, and the dress she's wearing is a very simple white shift, so nothing to indicate rank or anything like that. So she'll probably go on unnamed.
Why is she clothed and all the other bird girls aren't?
Magic.
She had a magic of her own.
I don't know, just the DM.
Are all the other girls, birds, locked up in a cage?
No, so if you remember, the snowy owl freed them all, and then at the last moment when Fortuna was ending, they had descended upon her. So now they just seem to be kind of hanging out on top of the cart, waiting, looking at all of you. Yeah.
Alright, well, I guess oh, wait. So you didn't know the girl? Is that what that role came to?
Yeah, I don't know who this is. She's, I can't place her anywhere, but I still think we should take her back and have a little ceremony for her, because she essentially saved our lives. really, and helped us find Ronnie.
You know, a day's journey is a long time. I don't want that body to start stinking up. Why don't we just bury her here?
That's also a lot of dead weight to carry. Sorry.
Literally.
Oh, shit. Oh, God, that was terrible. I didn't mean that.
That was a funny joke.
Oh, no, oh, God, I take it back.
How insensitive.
Wow, okay. So, as you're looking up at the sky, it's about 5 p.m. now. So you had been coming out kind of at the twilight hours when you emerged from the tent. So if you have about a day's travel, give or take, and you were led here by a strange, mysterious beast of the forest before. So you estimate it'll probably take about a day and a half without a clear pathway, because you're in the middle of a very thickly wooded area that was standing between you and Hogs Hollow.
Arnie, I agree with you. We should honor her, but we can do that here.
Fair enough.
Put her to rest here.
Yeah, I'm in favor. I just wanted to do something. I didn't just want to leave her here.
Yeah. Alright.
I find a shovel and start to dig a hole.
Yeah. You can definitely, look around the camp and see, they had a whole set for digging tents, stakes, and everything, so you can find a shovel. And then after like an hour, you dig a nice sized hole.
Yep.
So are we saying things, or
She made a very pretty owl and a prettier lady.
May she rest in peace.
Owls are the symbol of wisdom, and she certainly helped us in our time of need.
May Paylor watch over you.
And for all the people who won't hear that, I just crossed myself.
Okay.
I didn't know that Martin was into Paylor.
Paylor is like the big god, It's kind of like, even if you're not religious and don't go to church, like, you're still like, oh, Jesus. I know who that is.
All right, fair enough.
Paylor is kind of like Jesus. Nobody get mad at me for saying that. Oh.
I mean, well, okay, but I think the comparisons are uncanny, for sure.
Yeah. This guy will just drink more wine. This will be okay. All right, so you put her in the ground, you cover the grave, and by the time you're done doing this, it's like 6 now, so the sun is definitely setting. So how do you want to proceed about traveling forth?
Unless we just make camp here and rest for the night and then go in the morning, because it's, real dark and spooky right now.
It is pretty spooky.
Yeah, these girls probably need to chill and relax. They aren't ready to start walking home.
I look at them and
Ronnie's like, I mean, if you think that's the best, but this place gives me the creeps.
Yeah, I would imagine after their captivity, the last place they'd want to stay is, like, there. But
maybe we can just get away from the wagon, or
a
dead person, or something.
Kara made a really nice nest over underneath this tree. I think that looks pretty cozy.
Is that Kara's new thing? She makes nest beds? What is that?
After you've been turned into a bird,
it's forever. You never go back.
I mean, she was snoozing before I saw you, and I decided to approach the wagon.
Yeah, you guys had to come shake me awake. Like, Kara, make it big.
So you guys gonna camp for the night?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I,
Okay. What are you doing?
I'm gonna...
Martin's crawled over to the edge of the fire and is like, ow, and like picking at the edges of his like bandages. Night. I suppose I'll take first watch.
No, you need to rest.
Go to sleep anyway.
I only need to meditate
that's
for 4 hours.
Okay, I'll take the first 4. I don't think I could lay down on the ground right now. Just
okay. I'll take the second, and you can use my bedroll. When I wake up.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Great. Wonderful.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go hit the hay.
How old are you already done?
I'm like 150.
Oh, okay.
You're like young.
Yeah.
You're a young lady elf.
I was also just like pretty much always in libraries and committed most of my time to my studies, so I didn't really have practice.
Yeah.
Talking to humans?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. All right, so you all begin to head off to bed, and right before you lay down to go to sleep, Arnadel, Martin just kind of catches your arm at the end. He's like, I think after all of this, we should talk. Just,
I've never seen Arnadel's eyeball so big before.
I know.
I'm trying to roleplay.
Yeah,
that's like real life.
Well, I'll talk to you later, okay? And just be safe. And
I just gonna look at him like, yes, you have safe dreams too. And I go lie down on my bedroll.
Okay. Weird text conversation.
Yeah.
Great. I'll be here then by the fire.
I just kind of look at him like, okay. And I like get into my bedroll and do they even lie down? I mean, if we meditate, I just think of like a Buddha, like where you're crossing your legs and like meditating.
Why don't you decide what that is right now? You decide what meditating looks like for you.
Planking. Lying on my back and like a plank.
Like on top of objects or just as a plank?
Just like in my bedroll, but like super rigid and like, not like fetal position or on my side or, like on my belly like this, but like rigid on my back.
Great.
Yeah, that's it.
Creepy.
Hey.
Nice. No, I'm into it. All right. All right. So you all go to sleep. Can you all make wisdom checks for me, please?
I'm immune
Wisdom
against
saves.
being charmed.
Yeah. Ooh. 11.
I mean, I guess I have to roll anyway, but I have advantaged against being charmed. That's what it is.
13.
Natural 20.
Oh, damn.
Wow. Okay. So with the natural 20, you immediately become aware, as you're sleeping, the rest is very, you begin to feel really cold as you sleep, and you have really fitful dreams, and it's like you're rolling around. You can't quite figure it out, and then Arnadel, you're the first one to get a grasp on what's going on, and you kind of jolt yourself awake out of this feeling, and as you sit up, you find you're lying on cold gray stone, and as you sit up, these swirling mists are sort of moving in all around you to encompass you, and the world feels much colder and darker, and so you're the first one to notice this, and you see your two companions lying beside you, as if you've all just been strewn on this rocky surface. And as you look up to try and get a bearing on your situation, you just find yourself sitting on this black rock with mist all around you. Yes.
With the natural 20, but you can also tell me to re-roll this. I'm going to want to know, I'm like, am I dreaming or did I just get transported somewhere?
You feel like something magical definitely just happened to you.
Okay.
You felt that subtle shift in, it's almost like if you were teleporting, or that same sensation as, that's what stirred you out of your sleep. It was almost like an arcane sense that something was very wrong. You feel like you're very physically there at the moment, but something is a little bit off, as if this doesn't quite feel like how the normal world should be, and it certainly doesn't look how the normal world should be. And you see your two companions lying beside you, fitfully rolling around on the stone as if it looks like bad dreams are haunting both of them.
Okay, I run over and try to wake both of them up.
Okay. Once you stand up, a little piece of paper falls to the ground, like it was tucked in your robes. So as you stand up, you hear that little sound.
Oh, well, I grasp it and look at it.
So you see it's just like a tiny little scroll that's been rolled up, like a couple other scrolls you've seen recently. And as you unfurl it, it reads, "This is your third and final test. We wish you luck."
Oh shit! So I like quickly run over and try to wake Saya and Kara up.
Yeah. So you both feel the same sensation as you wake up, as if, you know, when you've just fallen asleep outside and the mist and the cold has crawled on top of you, you don't recognize anything else in your surroundings, and it's just this mist around each of you. But it's very hard to wake up. It feels draining and, yeah.
Does it look like the same area? Or
No, so you are definitely, the ground is not the same. You're not lying on bedrolls, and this thick mist is all around you. And as you all begin to wake up and kind of take stock of what's happening in the situation, you begin to see black shapes sort of moving out of the mist far ahead of you, as if it's like mountain ranges or structures or something.
I gotta go.
Can you just go pee?
Okay. I wasn't sure if you guys heard or saw.
Pause.
How's everybody doing?
Oh, good.
I'm sorry you got started so late.
I mean, it's totally irrelevant, but my heart like just skipped a beat, and I don't know why. It just had like a freak out. Like,
you're just so entranced by my storytelling?
Yes.
we'll say that.
Good. Just keep saying that. A happy DM makes for a happy time.
Yeah.
What?
Nothing.
Are you looking at our Twitch, Nassim?
No, I'm scared. I don't want to mess up the stream.
So if you're out there, Twitch streamers, we don't know it, but we love you.
I mean, I'll
and
do
you're
it
great.
real quick just to see, just to update.
Yeah.
But
I know. I'm scared to do it too.
all right. Is that it?
My internet's not good enough to handle like all of the apps.
Yeah. Well, how many apps do you have running?
Well, I mean, you know, there's Audacity, and then there's Roll20, and then that's it. That's all I can do.
God, I've got
that's
a couple. What are you asking? How many?
a million.
Well, there's literally no messages on the chat, so I don't really know how to tell if anyone's watching.
Oh, well,
yeah, I don't know.
You don't have the dashboard. Okay, that's why I was able to see if people were chatting. I'll figure...
Someone said hello? Hello.
Albert Knocker.
You're great.
Hello.
Yay!
We love you.
It works!
That's the big delight of this evening, that everything is actually working.
Yeah, somebody messaged, was like, hey, at like 8, I mean, it had already been after 8:30, and somebody was like, hey, I can't see you guys, where are you? And I'm like, oh, somebody's waiting! Oh my god!
Here. Okay. Alright. Back into game. Whew.
Yeah.
Alright. So you all find yourselves on this rocky black plateau, and you see that the mists have been moving in around all of you. And the more you stare out into it, the more defined these dark shapes and spires become, as you can make out other mountain ranges and geography. So you actually realize you're standing on the edge of this platform that has sort of a land bridge moving towards one of these really, really big black spires. Looks like a tower or some kind of structure off in the distance. But as you look around you, there are just these steep black mountain ranges hinging you on all sides. And this bridge is the only thing that seems to clearly show itself to you in the midst of all of this mist.
I pull
Oh,
up...
Arnadil, do you share the note?
Oh, yeah, thanks for reminding me. As I stand and, like, look around and I'm kind of, like, mildly horrified, I, like, remember the note. And I was like, oh, guys, look, I found this. And I unroll it and show it to them. Kara, I know you can't read. It says this is our third and... What does it say again?
this is your
Final
third
test.
and final test. Good luck.
Yeah.
I pull out my axe and I say, "Let's go, ladies." Hey,
Yeah.
wait. Okay. Side note: is Martin with us, or is it just three? The three of us.
He is not with you.
Okay.
It is just the three of you.
Yeah. Let's go, ladies. We got business to take care of.
Yeah.
All right.
It does suddenly occur to you, Arnadell, that he was being really awkward before you went to sleep. And
I don't know if I don't know if I have
all
the
his fault.
social skills to notice.
you don't have that insight check. Ooh, back out. Right. Never mind, pal. Kara, are you leading us?
Oh yeah.
All right. You start hustling on your little dwarf legs, like over this bridge. You're like, not today. And as you go, you all definitely get that feeling of vertigo as you're walking over this tiny land bridge and looking down below you. You can see it drops for at least a good 20 feet, but then the mist fills in whatever might be below that. And as you keep walking across, you see that the structure in front of you becomes more clearly defined, and it definitely looks like a castle or a fortress of some kind. And you can see these dilapidated walls ringing the structure of this thing, and one large black spiral tower rising out of the middle of it. And the closer and closer you get to it, you can see just how time has completely ruined this building. You can see like the timbers that have fallen and are now rotting on the ground, so even the gates don't stand in place anymore, and this weird black moss has grown over the surface of the fortress and the walls. So you get up to the front gates and you can literally walk over. Yes?
Arcana check.
Sure. Yeah, this entire time you've gotten this weird feeling you can't shake of that cold and mist. Like, yes, it's the weather, but it's also, there's just something really gross about being here that it's like indefinably.
I'm trying to roll an Arcana check to see if I can recall if I've read about this anywhere before, like places like this. That is a 15.
Okay. So you know that it's completely possible. You were clearly teleported or something happened to you. And with the small amount of trauma that you actually went through physically, you think maybe it could even potentially be extraplanar travel. You could be in one of those planes that very closely border the material worlds. You know, there are lots of different places
Pocket
that this
dimensions.
could be. Yeah. So not specifically sure. This place is lacking in traditional landmarks or anything of the sort that would indicate specifically where you were.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and
you don't think you're in Kansas anymore.
I'll share this insight with our group as if you guys like didn't already know. I'm going to just be like, I think I've read about stuff like this in books before. I don't think we're on the same plane of existence that we fell asleep on.
Well, we're here to take a test, and I've never failed. So let's go.
Never failed anything.
Never failed anything.
We're just like,
all right, one sec. I'm gonna close the door real quick. Hang on.
Yeah, I'm gonna mute and take a bite out of my pizza because it's getting cold.
Pizza.
Sounds really good.
I finished my Haagen-Dazs. It was so good.
Man, I'm jealous. But also, I can't really imagine eating ice cream right now. It's freezing in my apartment.
Oh, yeah, mine too.
It's storming outside.
Yeah, there was lightning earlier.
That's great.
Okay. Yep. All right, so you're making your way through these gates and towards. You walk into this courtyard that's just full of fallen stone. It looks like shattered statues, so you can recognize pieces of like hands and arms kind of in the midst of the rubble, but everything has been overgrown with weeds. Then you come to another set of really, really tall doors that have held together a lot better than the front gates, but still looks like if you gave them a good shove, they would probably fall apart.
I shoved them.
Boom! All right, so all this gross wood kind of moves forward, and then you hear beams cracking and falling, and you hear this giant echoing sound come back at you, as clearly this door, you've destroyed it, leads into a very, very large open chamber. And so I got distracted by food. Into this large
Don't we
open
all?
chamber. And you can see that this must have been at some point a very grand entrance hall. You can see the rotting remains of rugs moving forward towards another set of doors on the far side of the room, and these grand columns that have been carved with, well, it's worn away by time now, but you look probably seams of some kind in the past. And yes.
I would like to make a dwarven stone cunning check to see if I can assess how old this building
I
is.
love dwarven stone cutting. It's such a weird skill.
I look
Always
over.
helpful.
I'm assuming
You
I
don't
can
need
look over and
engineering
see.
anymore.
No.
I'm assuming I can look over and see what Kara is doing, and I'm just like, girl, we really need to
she's
teach you how to read words.
She's like in the cracks and like sifting through these piles of rubble, and she's like sniffing the bits of marble, and she's like rubbing it on her face, and she's like just listening to it as she like rolls it in her finger. She's getting like CSI marble in this business. I got a 12.
Amazing. Okay, so not communing so well today. So as you're getting the textile interesting bits about this stone, this is a very strange kind of stone. If you had to name what it was, you would sort of say maybe obsidian, maybe shale. Like, it's got a weird crumbly quality, but it's also shiny and kind of indefinable. You're not even sure if you've actually seen rock like this before, which is incredible, because you've seen them all.
I've seen them. As a mason, I have seen them all.
As a mason, way back in Dorf preschool, you all traveled around, you pointed at different rocks, and you told the stories.
Exactly.
But this rock was not in that circle, so you're not even quite sure what this is.
I have a look of shock and awe on my face.
As you rub dirt on your face?
Yes.
Alright, Kara's lost it. End of adventure.
I like nudge Salia, and I'm like, books, man. We gotta get her into books.
I don't know, this is hilarious.
So as you step forward into this hall, your footsteps cause these enormous echoes to move through this chamber. It was probably incredible back in its heyday. This thing easily has enough space for hundreds of individuals. You could fit full-size horses, carts through these main doors, but it seems to be very much empty at this point. You can see a couple iron cast sconces that have fallen from the walls. A couple of them are still held in place, but most of them are broken, lying in the piles on the floor. And then ahead of you, as you get closer towards the center of the room, you can make out that there's a carving on the other set of doors at the end of this long roped hallway.
What is it?
You see, so it's this mark that looks like a very rough version of a crest of some kind, and you can see carved onto it what looks like an eye. It's almost, it doesn't resemble like most heraldic symbols in its complexity. It's very simple, and it's very...
Do you want me to roll a perception check to see if maybe this sticks out to me? If I recognize it.
Yeah, sure.
I can't help but picture the eye from series of unfortunate events.
Oh yes, that new thing.
I heard it was good.
Yeah, I heard it.
haven't
I
watched
actually
it
heard
yet.
it was really good too, because I remember those with Jim Carrey as Lemony Snicket.
So good.
Yeah, I remember the terrible movies they did back in the day.
It's perfect. It is
Celeste,
perfect.
I got a 10.
Okay.
I don't know.
You don't recognize the symbol specifically. You definitely know you haven't seen this one in a book before, but it's the simplified illustration kind of style of, an eye with 3 eyelashes on the top and 3 on the bottom on this field of blue.
Those are not eyelashes.
Are you saying this is Brittany the PC or is Arnadel?
I am saying this is. I'm saying this is
Remember,
Brittany.
you guys don't actually have crests yet.
Alright.
That's true.
This
Yeah.
was just a cool.
All right, this one.
time
I'm just gonna say that this one speaks to me for some reason, and I don't really know why.
Okay, but Saya, so you go through the door first?
Yes.
Okay. So you go, and as you open the doors, you fling it open. The handle just opens to your touch, and it opens up, and a cloud of dust sort of comes out of it and like covers you, and you can see just a dark, unlit room in front of you. Completely black. Oh, there's no light in here, by the way. So there's a little bit coming from the back doors. So I think Saye, are you the only one without dark vision?
Yeah, I am.
That's
Does anyone have a torch? I'm the only one without dark vision.
That's a good idea. Sure, we would have
Get
a
a
torch in
torch.
our adventurers pack.
I don't have a torch.
I'm pretty sure in the basic adventures pack you get a torch.
Yeah.
Do you have an
I have explorer's hat.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Alright.
Well,
If you're
I
exploring,
think you have to
need
have a
torch.
Dungeoneer's pack.
you need a goddamn torch. No, I think it's in the basic.
Let me-
Yeah, somebody.
I
If
have the-
only anyone had a book.
I have a book. I'm just trying to get there.
Whatever.
I found
This
it.
is what.
You only have 5. Oh wait, that's entertainers. Explorer's pack. Yeah, you have 10 torches, girl, and you have fucking matches,
Alright, girl.
Yo.
girl.
You have so many goddamn torches.
Wait, do you
You
have a?
tiki
It
party.
doesn't even matter if you have
could
an
have a fucking
engineer's.
luau.
I'm gonna make a grass skirt. out of rocks.
And you go to.
Kara would just like win limbo every
Yeah.
time. lower. Yeah, okay.
Surprisingly flexible for her
Okay,
shop.
is that your torch?
Yes.
Okay, all right, Nassim, your pen torch. Great. So as you light a torch and you hold it out to sort of look around the room in front of you, you see that the room is largely empty, except for on the far side, directly across from you, a statue comes into view, and it's a statue of an old woman, kind of wrapped in a shawl, and she's holding out a bowl in front of her. So it looks like maybe an offering bowl of some kind, or yeah, you're not really sure. Just carved out of that same weird black stone that everything has been.
I tried to reach into the bowl, see if there's anything in it.
Okay, so you walk into the room.
Yeah.
Does anyone else walk into the room?
Yes,
Yeah.
I actually.
We're
tried
closely
to almost
following
walk in
behind her.
front of Saye a little bit.
Okay.
Wait.
I'm practically hugging them because I'm freaked out and.
Quick break.
Okay.
I want to do a listen. Can I listen, see if there's anything in the room first before I move forward?
Yeah. So one thing, as Arnadel steps into the room, Saye and Kara, you notice she goes completely white and falls to the ground
That's
in like a plank position. And and Arnadel, as you step into the room,
What?
you feel this
Why
very
me?
strange rushing sensation as your head begins to spin and everything goes a little bit hazy, and then all of a sudden you close your eyes and open them again, and you find yourself standing in a very familiar place. As you look all around you, you're actually sitting at one of the long study tables that you've studied at as a young mage, the Library of Waterdeep.
Oh.
So you're looking around, you look at the bookshelves around you, and you recognize more and more where you are. And as you sort of look around and take all of this in, you hear a sudden sound, like a very loud, audible sound in your ears, like somebody turning a crisp page of a book. And it's hard for you to tell exactly where the sound came from. It's kind of an all around you omniscient sound.
I'm just gonna
But,
like whip my head around and like look, presumably behind me, because I think that's a pretty natural reaction.
Yeah, and as you go, you're seated in one of the familiar study alcoves that you spent a lot of time in when you were reading. There's actually a stack of books that's already in front of you on the table. a few of your old favorites. So you can see a burnt out candle stub sitting in front of you, rolls of parchment, as if you were just here taking notes. And you look around you, and there doesn't seem to be anybody else in the library this moment. It's like one of those nights you would sneak in here quietly and get some last minute reading done. And
do I recognize
feel...
that, like, you know how, like, if you're in a dream and it seems like whatever you're doing in that dream is normal, or am I aware that I just got here from a very strange place and, like,
Yeah, you're completely aware, and you feel like all of a sudden you're here. And the only thing that has that jarring, weird sensation is that sound you just heard.
God, this reminds me of that
turning.
scene in the labyrinth when Sarah gets back to her bedroom, but it's actually like the dump. Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, this is that scene. So I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, okay, my books. But okay, yeah.
It's all your stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff.
I don't
take
know.
a look around?
Yes.
So yeah, as you stand up from your normal seated sort of position, you look down and you go to the main alleyway that kind of bisects all of these huge sections of books in the middle of the room, and then of course all the books that are lining the walls. And as you look down and you see this, the lovely red carpets that used to line the sections in between, padding for sound and all that, you see a door at the end of the hallway. And as you look at this door, it just somehow feels very compelling. Like there's something different about this door, and it seems to call to you.
Is this door normally there? Would I be like, this is a new door?
No, you know that in the architecture of this room you've been in many, many times before. This door has never been here before.
I'm fearful, but I proceed.
All right, as you get closer and closer to this door, you begin to hear whispering sounds, as if people are talking very quietly all around you, just coming from the other side of the door.
Is this familiar?
It's these low, just sort of, it just sounds like maybe people, if they're trying not to get the attention of other people, the sounds of a library, but it's so many different voices, and you can definitely tell it's coming from that side of the door. And as you get closer and closer, the whispering increases, and you can hear that there are a lot of voices behind this door.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and open, but like carefully.
Yeah. So as you reach out and grasp like the knock on the edge of the door, you hear that sound again, the sound of a page turning. And it's again this omniscient sound, like somewhere happening in your head. You don't think it's happening where you are. And then you're suddenly startled by a voice go, "Wait!" And as you kind of drop the knocker, you turn around and you see the familiar face of an older gentleman who was your longtime mentor and companion, Kelvin. As he turns around, he's dressed in his wizarding robes and this full regalia, and he's looking at you with this feeling of just utter panic and holding out a hand towards you.
This is really
special. If you go through that door, you may never be able to come back. Arnadel, don't go through that door.
But I feel like I have
again
to.
Of a page turning.
I look at him and I feel, I think I have to.
Well, shit.
And he's almost frozen in this weird moment as he's just looking at you, and he kind of drops his hand and just stares at you. And it's one of those moments where you can feel almost the minute hands of the clock just moving as he continues to stare at you.
I say I'm sorry and turn around and open the door.
And as your hand goes back towards the door, you hear all of those whispers again, and you pull it open, and you find yourself engulfed in another feeling of blackness as you step forward. And then you feel the spiraling sensation as if you're falling, but you're still upright. And so it's almost like one of those Alice in Wonderland effects we're going and tumbling down into blackness. And again, you're hearing those voices sort of coming from all around you, sort of from above you, below you. And you find yourself, you land gently on a stone floor. And as you look around, you can see you're in some kind of cavern of some sort. You can tell that it's lit up, maybe a volcanic or cavern. You can see pools of orange glowing light coming from all around the cavern. And as you look closer towards the darkness, you can almost see shapes that are moving through. And you hear like a hissing and slithering sounds as things are moving through the darkness. And then on the far side of this cavern, set into a large stone wall, is a giant black iron gate. It's huge, it's massive, and then the lava pits underneath it are casting up this orange glow sort of upon the door. Why don't you make some perception checks for me, please?
Um, 22, 16 plus 6. So that's 22.
Nice. Okay, so as you kind of move forward into this limitless-sized cavern, kind of taking a couple steps towards the gate, you focus in on those shapes that are moving around in the dark, and you can definitely tell that every here and there, it looks like a flicker of a long serpentine tail moves in and out of the darkness, but they seem to have humanoid shapes attached to them. So like these half serpentine, half human sort of shapes. And again, immediately it comes to mind, like Yanti you just fought.
That Martin just fought.
Mm-hmm.
I think a fleeting thought of Martin.
What have you done? And as you focus in on those, and then your attention turns back to the gate, you begin to hear another voice. This time, you're not sure if it's in your head or if it's echoing all around you. Child, you come before me at last. I have waited a long time. And as the voice speaks to you, it's all at once familiar and all at once strange. It's like something you've heard before in a bad dream, this weird kind of hissing voice. And as you try to focus on it, again, you hear that same sound of like a page turning from somewhere around you, this omniscient place. You're not quite ready to join us, but you have the potential within you. A darkness rises, child, and you must defeat it. Master it. Then we can bring you home. And you hear this voice is coming definitely from behind the gate. You can now tell, and it's almost like you can hear the great coils of something moving just beyond that gate. And as it speaks to you, off from the darkness comes this shimmering black thing that's like almost like somebody flipped a coin out towards you, and it lands at your feet. And as it rattles on the ground, you can see its kind of small shape, and it looks like a scale of some kind. And then when you hold it up to the light, it seems to almost shift and move until you recognize the stone that you've been wearing about your neck this entire time.
I just got goosebumps. Oh my god. Like, I'm dead serious. I'm not exaggerating. That was awesome. I pick it up and study it, and I'm just like, oh shit. And I quickly tie it back onto the chain that was around my neck. And I think all I feel like I can do is just bow deeply. I can't even think of words right now. Or just sigh.
Night Mother waits. She shall have you soon. And again, you hear that sensation, that large sound of a page being turned, except as it moves down and makes that final crunch, that hissing and that movement kind of comes from all around you, and you see now crawling and moving out of the shadows are these large formed of these snake-bodied Yuan-ti, but they're all women who are looking at you and bearing these staves as they move forward, and they kind of circle around you, staying on the frayed edges of that darkness. And then all of your vision begins to kind of flicker again, and you find yourself woken up lying on the stone floor of this place. And it's cold and shitty, and your two companions are just staring at you. So for the two of you, basically what just happened, you saw Arnadel just faint on the ground, and then, like, while she was there, her eyes just flew back open all of a sudden.
It's usually what happens when people faint. After, like, a little convulsion. Yeah. It's weird. I go and I grip the rock that's on my necklace, like this. That's, like, the first thing that I do.
As you feel it now, the texture and everything has always kind of mystified you, but now as you feel it with your finger, it definitely has that feeling of a scale, that smooth texture to you, and you suddenly recognize what that is. And as you all look in the room, from that bowl where the old woman, the crone, was seated, her bowl lights up now with a blue fire of its own accord and just kind of glows merrily in place.
Interesting.
Can I all, like, super creepily be like, who's next?
You can say whatever you want, Brittany.
That's what I say.
Alright, moving forward.
I'll step in next.
Okay, so you're all standing in this room right now. So you two both walked in, and then Arno kind of was like, I'm scared! And the minute she crossed over the line, bam, she fainted and went out. And now you can see, as the blue light shines, you can actually make out the flickering outline of a door behind the old woman's statue.
Oh, okay. So yes, I would go towards the statue of the old woman.
Yes, Brittany.
Can somebody check our Twitch? I just got a weird thing on my computer with OBS.
Oh no.
Sorry.
I can check my Audacity. That's going great.
It's loading. Hold on.
Like, the little icon up at the top of my computer disappeared. That's why I'm like...
It's loading.
It says we're live, but it's not coming up. Like, it's not loading.
It's not loading, and we're not streaming.
Oh yeah, it's
live,
going.
but
The Twitch stream is going fine.
It is?
It's going good.
Yeah, there
Okay.
it just showed up.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all good.
I got a weird notification on my screen, so that's why I'm just like, oh, don't go. This is, like, good shit. I don't want anybody to miss this.
Don't leave us.
Okay.
We have abandonment issues.
So, moving on to the next one.
Wonder card and become a stripper.
What's behind door number 2?
Oh my god.
Kara the stripper. That's amazing. I mean, you got the thighs for it,
Oh
babe.
yeah.
Oh. Alright. So as you move forward to this door is a normal set of doors. It doesn't seem to have anything engraved upon it or carved into it. Who's opening it?
Open that shit up. Let's go.
Alright. So as you swing open the doors to this room, you enter another massively sized room that seems comparable to, like, the large area you've walked into at first, except this room is filled with a huge series of floor-to-ceiling columns. So as you hold out your torch, Saya, you actually can only see up to about the second or third row of these columns. As you're looking on, so you're standing in the middle of a row of 4 columns. in this giant, almost Colosseum-sized room. And Saya, can you make a dexterity save for me, please?
Awesome. That's always just dex plus my roll, right?
Yeah.
If you're proficient in it, then you add your proficiency bonus, which I'm sure you are, because monk.
Because
You're a monk. That's your thing, not mine.
Got a 6.
Okay. Great. So as you hold your torch aloft, you don't have time to recognize or acknowledge as this black arrow moves and just sinks right into the center of your ribs, and you can see sticking out of it is this arrow that looks like it's been strung together with a series of bone and fish scales that's shot from the far side of the room. And as you look on the looking edge of your firelight, you see something moving and dodging behind one of the columns to avoid your gaze.
Everybody run! How'd you get
you take 4 damage.
Oh, that's not so bad.
All right, and there's definitely something waiting for you out there in those columns. Unfortunately, it is 10 o'clock. So we have actually come to the end of the episode here. So we're leaving you in this giant room.
Cliffhanger.
Dang.
Bleeding out of my
Something
brain.
has shot you from the dock.
Wait, we can't tack on 30 minutes for being late?
I can't. I've got to go to work tomorrow.
Oh,
But we'll stay consistent with our live stream. But thank you everyone so much for joining in for our first streamed episode with Don't Split the Podcast Network. We'll be posting this episode on Sunday, and then we'll be getting back more on track with that scheduling. So be sure to watch us. We'll be live streaming on Twitch every other Wednesday, 8:30 to 10 PST. And I promise it'll be 8:30 next time. We figured it out.
We got it set up.
Now that you got it down.
Yeah, but yeah, you all are great and you're wonderful and have a fantastic evening.
Wait.
Venture away.
I'm just gonna hit stop streaming. We're staying on to chat, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just
Correct.
checking. Okay, bye guys. Woo.
Bye.
Bye.